I feel like I've learned a lot in the last 2 years about myself. What was up, distance? Being with him is the only thing that makes me feel happier. Hello, sorry, my chair is so squeaky. I'm gonna be doing like advice, but obviously I'm not like some marriage counsellor, so take this with a pinch of salt, about being in a long-term relationship that's healthy after going through trauma. My trauma is childhood trauma, so some of the things could be a bit altered. Like, I feel like a lot of people will be able to relate to these things that I'm suggesting, but obviously a bit subjective, and if it doesn't relate, it don't. If it does, it does. And I hope he learns something. First thing I have to touch on is communication. I know everyone says it. Without effective communication, especially in a situation like this, there's going to be problems. And I'm not saying with these things that I'm about to go through that I'm not guilty of not doing them effectively. But I think as long as you're acknowledging what you've done or how you are as a person, then it's okay. You can work through it. Obviously, if you're naive to not being good with communication, then it becomes a problem. It's okay to make excuses. If you feel triggered, just say it. And I don't mean excuses as in like lying and making up stuff. I mean, like, if you've done something and they're like, why would you do that? And you could just say, it's because I've been through this and it's caused this, and it makes me behave in a different way. It makes me react to things maybe more dramatically or less dramatically. Maybe you're desensitized to stuff that maybe people would think, oh, she doesn't care. Might not be that you don't care, might just be that you literally just don't have any emotion attached to things. If you feel triggered, say it, so that at least they know there's a link there. If you think something you've done is linked to your past or linked to a trigger, say it, because then it gives really good reference, like, for the future. And they might, when you do something, that they might sit there and think, oh, she's a prick. They might sit there and think like, or maybe she's done it because of this, or maybe she felt vulnerable, or maybe she felt paranoid or anxious or overwhelmed, overstimulated, anything. Sometimes just say sorry, they're just trying to help you. Obviously, people that haven't been through something like you have will not get the extent of some things that you go through. They might not get the desensitization, they might not get the paranoia and anxiety or depression that you have, because I feel like you have typical anxiety, you have typical paranoia, depression and stuff like that. And then there's obviously, it becomes a bit more specific when it comes to PTSD. And it's okay for like you to do something wrong, and you can say sorry and then say, oh, I just felt vulnerable or triggered. Saying sorry to them will really mean something to them. There's nothing wrong with saying sorry. It doesn't invalidate how you feel or why you did something. Just saying sorry just kind of like eases them in the fact that like you care. You want them to feel like they're validated, obviously, because if they feel like you've done something that's, I don't know, hurt their ego or hurt their feelings, they want you to like want to say sorry, even if you don't think that you intentionally did anything. Because obviously when it comes to PTSD, there's a lot of triggers and there's a lot of behaviours that you do that you might not even realise are linked, and you might unintentionally do things. It's a problem because if you're not acknowledging it, it's hard and it feels like you're always doing something wrong. But a lot of the time there's a reason you're doing these things, you just don't realise it yet. And obviously there's a lot of things that I do and I just sit there questioning it for hours because you don't know all the answers to everything. And I hate not knowing the answers. No secrets. The more they know, the more they could try to help. Just give them as much information as you physically can. Name your triggers. I don't know what else. Like, name situations where you might feel vulnerable. Name what you don't like that they do. You can put out your flaws, what triggers them, what triggers you. There are situations where someone's been through trauma, the other one's been through trauma, and it clashes. That's why I'm kind of glad that my boyfriend's not been through something like I have, because I think the self-sabotage and desensitization and all of that, it would come crashing down on us. But just try to have no secrets, nothing that you're hiding from them. So like, if you do something wrong, instead of like saying, oh, it's your fault, you've done this, 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 they might sit there and think, maybe she did it because of this, or maybe she just felt shit, you know? Like, they will have them concepts in their head ready when you do something wrong. The next is bad habits. Outline them. Even something as little as nail biting, or like moving your leg up and down constantly. Like, if they know when you're triggered or when you're anxious, they can calm you down. And they know it's a response to that, not necessarily like being irritated at them or taking something out on them. They might self-sabotage. Now, obviously my boyfriend would be on the receiving end of this. It's hard because I feel like I'm in a cycle, and I feel like I don't know if I can get out of it, in the terms of like, I don't know if I'll ever fully stop doing things that will self-sabotage myself, even if they're like unconscious or like subconscious, whatever. I'll just start automatically do things that just maybe aren't healthy to the typical person. All you could do is support someone. That's it. Like, I say to my boyfriend, there's nothing he could like say or do that would make me feel better or feel healed in that sense. The only thing that would help me emotionally is just being with him. That is it. Being with him is the only thing that makes me feel happier. Sounds a bit sad, but yeah. Self-sabotage is just really destructive, and it can come on like loads of different levels. Obviously there are very, very serious ones that I've experienced, and there's obviously very, very low levels of it. I remind them that it's a problem within you. Like, when you have these problems and issues that you're dealing with, you've got to remind them that this trauma is your trauma, it's not theirs. So obviously there's only so much blaming they can do to themselves because they feel bad, but obviously remind them that they are there to help. Just make like them reminded that they are loved, like you love them with everything. And just paranoia, anxiety, depression, these are just what comes with PTSD is just ridiculous. Like, the comorbidity of like PTSD, depression, anxiety, paranoia, it is just ridiculous. I feel like you can't just have PTSD. Obviously it naturally comes with a load of other disorders. Depression is my most recurring one and my most serious one. The self-sabotage obviously links to the depression, and I feel like a lot of the time I am depressed, and I feel like you don't have to be in bed all day and all night to be depressed. Like, obviously there's that stereotype that if you're depressed you're like in bed and don't move. Obviously that is valid depression. I'm just saying there is depression where you're just getting on with things and you're forcing yourself to just go and go and go, and you're not stopping, you're not giving yourself a break. I feel like that's what I'm in, where I'm like, I've got these mocks, I'm revising, I'm literally like a zombie. I have fuck all emotion, I'm not thinking about much. I literally might just have my music, revision, watching something, that is it. I'm reading, anything to do to escape. I'm just in my room, crying, sad, everything. Like, I feel just, like I said to my boyfriend yesterday, I was like, I literally am just a zombie at the moment. I'm just doing things, and like half the time I'm not concentrating, I'm struggling, I'm out of it, I'm just not thinking much, and it's just really weird. So the only way I can really describe that is zombie-ish. It's really hard because obviously you either give up or you force yourself to keep going, and it's exhausting. My depression has been going on since I was probably like, it's funny because what I went through, I was really young, and then when I turned 12, 13, I started thinking about it and thinking like what happened, and trying to ask people questions and make sense of it. And obviously I understood what was done to me, because at the time I wouldn't have been able to properly comprehend what was going on. And as soon as I started understanding it, I went through it again, but mentally. I actually went through it mentally this time. So the depression, the paranoia, the anxiety was there. for like a good few years. It's been on and off, and I feel like when I was younger it was more like a cry for help, whereas now it's like my day-to-day life. I just feel like zombied out all the time. Love languages. It's very important to know someone's love language, especially when they have been through something, because I feel like there's a great sense of like you need to comfort them a lot. I mean, at least me, like I just always want to be comforted. Like I don't care if I'm angry at him. I don't really get angry at my boyfriend, but obviously if I'm like irritated at him, guess what I want? Fucking hug from him. It doesn't matter what he does, I want a hug from him. This problem will pretty much get fixed as soon as we live together, but I always want more affection, more effort put in. I say it gets fixed when we move in together because I'll have more of his affection, I'll have more of his effort, I'll have more of his attention, sort of thing. But I feel like, especially at the moment, it's like I can't see him enough. It's like I want to see him more. I want him to do more for me, and I feel like no matter what he does, I always want more. And it's a bit like, I just feel like nothing's ever enough. I always want more. Like if people are worrying about me, I want them to worry more. Yes, I know that's a completely toxic way of thinking, but make sure you meet their needs. When you're in a relationship, of course you've been through something, but they have needs, they have emotions, they have feelings, they have wants, they have don't wants. They have things that they want from you, so you do have to try and accommodate. And the last thing I've put here is honesty. Like, be real, and if you cannot fulfill their needs at that moment, you should say, like, obviously because that links to the last point, ensuring you meet their needs as much as you physically and mentally can. If you can't, just say it. They might probably get upset, but you offering everything you have. Being in a relationship is not easy or smooth sailing, like maybe for the first week. I feel like, especially when you've been through something, there's so much to navigate, like so much. Sorry, I'm so tired. I had a Red Bull, so now I'm crashed. But yeah, I don't feel like, sometimes there's nothing you can say to make someone feel better, or they can't say anything to make you feel better, but communication is my fattest point. If you take anything away from this, it's to say what's on your mind, say what you want, say what you don't want, say what triggers you, say what you want from them when something triggers you. Making things clear to them, that is it. Making things clear, because the more they know, the more understanding they've got. But in terms of helping someone that's been through something, specifically like childhood trauma and stuff, it's really hard for them. They're going to be confused. They're going to be at times just trying to get through the day. If they get a bit funny when you ask how they are, just ask it a bit less. Continue the conversation, ask something else. Just read the room, know how to react to their responses, know how to react to their triggers. If you accidentally trigger them, navigate through it with them, just work with them, because that's obviously the best you can do. If they want to work through things by themselves, let them, because the more you talk to them, the more they're going to distance themselves. Because I'm someone that once something happens, I just go, walls up, distance. If they want space, give them space. And once they come back, they'll probably have missed you a bit, so they won't be as mean. So yeah, I really hope this helps someone, because I'm obviously doing like little videos on my trauma. I'm not doing like a full-on story time because I feel like that's cheap. But if this helped anyone, then that's what it's for. I've been with my boyfriend now for 2 years as of next month. I'm only 18, so if anything, I am still navigating through everything myself, so there's no reason why you shouldn't take this with a pinch of salt, because everyone's different. But yeah, I feel like I've learned a lot in the last 2 years about myself because of being with someone. It's mental. You learn a lot about yourself when being around certain people. Just don't be too hard on yourself. Like, please don't. Whether you're the one that has been through something or not, just try not to like beat yourself up about it, because Not worth it. It's really not. Pick your battles, especially if you're the one that hasn't been through something and you're with someone that has. Pick your fucking battles. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon, because I'm going to be filming my whole week of mock week. Oh, that's fun. I'll probably start that tonight, so I hope you all enjoyed, and yeah, bye.